So I was doing the study the other day, preparing some analysis, and I wanted to look up how many Amazon sellers there are and what are their revenues. And what I found is, as you know, so many Amazon sellers joining every day. And in fact,
Yep.
I think last year I saw an article, 300,000 new sellers per day. So I don't know if you came across that number, but the reality is the number of what they call active sellers on Amazon is only 1.1 million.
Yep.
And the definition of active seller is a seller that has sold at least one piece in the last 90 days. So when you look at it that way, it's only 1.1 million. And we're talking about the US marketplace. And out of that 1.1 million, 79% is doing less than $1 million. So $1 million a year. So this is not, that means you have so many sellers that are all small and they're just trying to grow. And you've got the situation where, increasing the storage fees, the FBA fees, and the CPC is going up. So it's, I guess small sellers are being pressed from both ends, right?
Yep. Nick, I'm gonna pause you. The charger in here is not working. I'm gonna run for 15 seconds to get a charger.
So given
yeah.
that well, out of 1.1 million, 79% is doing less than $1 million. So, I mean, those are the realities. So
Yep.
what do you think about that situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of things. The first, I think, thing to think about is that, this is a power law business, right? Any sort of marketplace over time is going to have bigger winners and more losers, right? And Amazon is a mature marketplace at this point. So, there's a lot of, Amazon loves to get really excited about the percent of its revenue that comes from its third-party ecosystem, right? It's gone up to almost 60%. I think Jeff Bezos' quote is that third-party sellers are kicking our first-party butt badly. But the reality is a lot of those businesses are very, very large companies that are well into the 8 figures and even some in the low to mid 9 figures in revenue. So I think that's sort of the first kind of important point to make here, is that it's a power law distribution and it's only going to get sort of more extreme in time. The second thing is, it's like, contrary to what Greg, contrary to what a lot of kind of sort of gurus will tell you, this isn't supposed to be easy. Right? Like the idea that FBA or e-commerce drop shipping or even building sort of an e-commerce brand was ever going to be a get-rich scheme that was going to be easy is one of the more cynical ideas that was ever peddled. There's really no business that's more difficult in many ways than consumer packaged goods, because you're dealing with real tangible items. And even though Amazon makes things as easy as possible, it's a hard business. And most folks won't find scale, and there's going to be a sort of a great combination of luck and skill that goes into being one of those accounts that can clear $1 million. But the last kind of more optimistic point I'll make is the same one I made before. So again, several years ago, my opinion is that being really good at e-commerce was basically being really good at arbitrage, right? You were really good with navigating a nascent FBA ecosystem and sort of a very early Amazon third-party tool and finding efficiencies in keywords and unit economics and landed costs, or you were really, really good at throwing up a Shopify website and running Facebook ads. The reality is that most of those things are commoditized now. So what is it going to take to be an outstanding sort of e-commerce entity? It's going to take building great products, having great unit economics, and building great brand stories around them. So even though doing those 3 things is exceptionally hard, the playbook in some ways has never been more straightforward. It's just very difficult to execute. But personally, I think the e-commerce ecosystem is going to be healthier if the best products and best brands rise to the top, rather than the people that are the best at exploiting Amazon and Facebook algorithms.